Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm here today with the second from last of the tarot top trumps that I don't know when we started, sometime back in the summer. It's the tag started by the lovely Mascha at Musings by Mascha, and today we're up to card 20, which is the Judgment card. So this is the 21st video. We've got one more video left to do, the World, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm just so pleased really to have done this. This is right up my street, this kind of challenge, really. I love looking through all my decks and sort of trying to choose cards that represent different aspects of the card that we're talking about, you know. But anyway, the Judgment card, let me tell you a bit about what the Judgment card means to me. So it's obviously fire, it's associated with Pluto. It's a card of rebirth and resurrection, kind of summoning the past, being able to forgive it and let it go. And it advises us that we need to face those bad memories or those bad habits that we cling to. We need to recognize that the past is the past and heal the things that we drag around with us, really, you know, like we drag around in our bag, in our shadow. So this can also be a card of healing. You know, it could be a card of healing from an accident or an illness, as well as signaling that sort of great transformation or renewal or change. It's a card of spiritual maturation or spiritual evolution, being able to have a relationship with the divine and finding spiritual meaning and purpose in life. I think it can be a very hard card to read in readings, as it often deals with things that are not particularly tangible, I suppose, but it can also deal with things that are very final, you know, final decisions, having to face up to things that are painful. But there's very much always that message that the querent needs to make that decision and move on, and that there could be wonderful things around the corner if you just trust in that process. So in its higher realms, this card is really about forgiving yourself and others, having an inspired vision, considering the whole picture of a situation, being able to make good decisions, having, like I said, having that relationship with the divine, which I do think for many of us is something that builds and grows throughout our life. I think when we're much younger, when we might be starting out on the fool's journey, we're often too concerned with the material world, aren't we? We're too concerned with boyfriends and girlfriends and, you know, getting a job and establishing ourselves in life in some kind of material or concrete way. And as we get older, we start to look, don't we, for that deeper meaning in things. And I think that's where the Judgment card comes in. And it is card number 20. You know, we've travelled the road of the fool's journey by now. And I think when this card appears, it can often let you know that while you may not feel transformed, you may not feel that all of the shadow work and all of the work that you've done on yourself, you might not feel that inside you, or you might not feel that the external world sees that in you. But I think this card is there to remind you that actually everything inside you has changed, even if you don't feel it just yet, that the work that you've been doing has been transformational. So yeah, and the reason why I chose this card, this is from the beautiful Art Oracle. I always say this deck wrong. The Art Oracle? The Art Occultist. It's the Art Occultist deck. That's the name of her channel on YouTube as well. It's a beautiful deck. I really love it. But I chose this card really And I think I've got about 7 cards, actually. I'll try not to take too long with them. But I think I chose this card particularly because this reminded me of something that I learned years ago when I was studying psychology and shadow work and all of that kind of stuff. I was looking at Carl Jung's work and, you know, all sorts of transformational work. And I remember reading about our conscious and our unconscious, and it was kind of described as like our unconscious is darkness, like in this card. Everything around this angel is dark, but there's a bright light shone on this angel here, and it's like wherever she goes within this darkness, she's going to bring light to that area. Thank you, George. Come on. She's going to bring light to that area. She's going to shed light on a dark issue. So she's going to bring things to you for you to examine and pick apart and face and forgive and let go and understand and all of those things. Anyway, I hope that you understand what I'm talking about. Like I said, the darkness here is like the unconscious, and she's like the consciousness that comes in and sheds light on whatever you've been hiding or repressing or projecting onto other people or dismissing or running away from, or whatever the hell it is that you do, that we all do. She's there to shed light on those things, isn't she? She is the judgment. She's the judgment call. Yeah, I hope you understand what I mean with that. I'm not very good at explaining what's in my head sometimes. So there we go. That was my first card. My second card is from the Zombie Tarot, which I love, which I absolutely love. There's this card here, and let's see if I can put this down just a little bit more. And I chose this card really because this is not about spiritual evolution necessarily or anything quite as deep as that, but it really is about decisions, isn't it? It's about having to face up to something, that this is a situation that can't be run away from anymore. You know, this is to do with like the zombie apocalypse, isn't it? And maybe excuse me, maybe humanity has reached that point where for some people at least that are going to make this decision, it seems the only thing left to do is to just destroy the world and start again. And that may not be the right decision for everybody, but in this card that has been the decision, hasn't it? Is that the world needs to end, really. And when I was looking at this card, it just really made me think about the little man here sat in his little room with the computer, and he could press the button, and it just makes you think, doesn't it, about how many people have sat in little rooms and made decisions on behalf of lots and lots of other people that they may have considered to be the right decision, but may not have been for everybody. Some of these decisions are very difficult, aren't they? Like I said, they're often very final decisions, having to face things that are quite painful. But if these decisions are not made, then life can't move on, can it? Life can't change. So whether the pressing of this button here is the right or the wrong thing, clearly that situation needs to be faced and dealt with, doesn't it? So there's that card. My third card is from this beautiful deck, which I love. This is the Game of Thrones tarot, which I don't have the box for anymore. And this is, if you don't know Game of Thrones, this is the Night King, isn't it? And he's like the king of the White Walkers. And I think in this scene here, it's like he's raising his arms and he's raising his army of the undead. He's raising the army of the whites, I think they're called. And they are the undead that will just blindly follow him. So yeah, I think that's such a good card really for Judgment, isn't it? This is really about, well, the people in this card have had no ability to make their own decisions, have they? They've just been pawns. You know, a bit like I was talking about with the zombie tarot, really, is that one person here, or one creature, is making the decision for all of these other people here. He's raising them all up, but to be something that they're not, really. Let's just see if there's anything in the little book here, because I don't think I'm explaining this very well, am I? It says the Night King demonstrates his power as if saying, you cannot resist. And it says here, just as at times we cannot resist being drawn into the past, so it is with Judgment. This card means the return of the dead, when what could be buried or burned comes back to life. And we have that, don't we, in our own lives, things that we think that we've buried or we've put to bed or we've left behind us. And sometimes they can suddenly come back, can't they? You know, people can come back into our lives that we think we've left behind, and all of a sudden we're faced with having to make big decisions all of a sudden, aren't we? We're having to sort of look within and really examine our motivation and our feelings around this person or this situation. And it says here, Judgment often appears in a reading when you're on the brink of a change, and with it come memories and dreams of the past, people reappearing in your life. You may decide to give a situation or relationship a second chance, or otherwise review your behaviour and see it at a higher level and see the life lessons offered. And obviously this card is number 20, isn't it, which reduces to 2 in numerology, which is associated with opposites and choices. So yeah, again, I don't think I explained that particularly well, but I hope that you know what I meant. They're quite difficult concepts, aren't they, really? What have I got next? Let's just do these two, actually. So these are from my Book of Shadows, and I think this is book 1, perhaps. This one, which is the more contemporary deck. And then there's the blue one, which is the more sort of pagan version of this deck. I tend to use the more contemporary deck much of the time, just because this pagan deck is sort of much more complicated, really. You kind of need to read the book, I think, with it, but often the imagery in the contemporary deck is very easy to read. So looking at the contemporary deck, this is somebody that is speaking to their ancestors. They've set up a little shrine. They may be trying to make contact with a deity, an ascended master, a god, a goddess. Or like I said, this could just be set up for their ancestors. And I think this card, without looking at the book, which I'm going to do in just a minute, to me this card is encouraging us really to listen, you know, to develop that ability to really listen to spirit, to listen to what is coming from our higher self or is coming from somewhere outside of ourselves, to really be able to listen to that, to help us to make decisions and to help us to trust in the process and to grow with it, I guess. I don't feel I'm explaining things very well today. Right, where is it? Let's have a look. Judgment. It says if we ask, the divine will answer. And the key, though, is not only asking, but also listening. There we go. So I did read that right. After posing the question, keep your spirit calm enough to hear the advice. Actively seek it and look forward to its arrival. And by all means, be prepared to act on it, for it will undoubtedly change your life. So the meaning of this card in this book is receiving and hearing a spiritual message. And then with the more pagan deck here, let's see what it says about that, because it's called initiation. It says everyone walks their own path and everyone hears their spiritual call in their own way. For the witch, once she hears the call of the divine, of the goddess or the god, she commits herself to honouring them. It is like the old chants that medieval monks sang with a call and a response. This card is about the relationship and this agreement. We are called to a specific life and we promise to live as best we can. Mostly we promise to stay in right relationship with the divine so that we can hear the needs and guidance of our deities with the same clarity with which we hear our original call, and so that we can answer with the same passionate intensity. And the meaning of this card is a spiritual calling, living with a higher purpose, and leaving an old way of living. So I really, really like those two cards together. I really like Judgment as being something about being able to listen, being able to interpret that message that comes to us, whether that be from our own intuition, our higher self, from a deity, from outside of ourselves, from spirit, wherever it comes from. It's about having that ability to see the clarity in that. So I really like that card, both of those cards actually. Right, I've got two left. Let's go with this one first. So this is from my beautiful Osho Zen deck. I thought I could not have this really in this video, because Osho Zen is so much more than is all about our connection with ourselves and our connection with spirit and the world around us, isn't it? And this one is beyond illusion. And I think that the butterfly face here is showing us that judgment is a transformational energy, isn't it? You've got the third eye there. I think should this person in this picture open their eyes and look around, they're going to see things very differently, aren't they? Because they've gone inside, they're listening to themselves, they're listening to the universe, they're listening to the messages coming into them. Let's see what's in the book. It will be bound to be far more profound than anything that I can say. So let's have a look. So it says the butterfly in this card represents the outer, that which is constantly moving, and that which is not real but an illusion. Behind the butterfly is the face of consciousness, looking inward to that which is eternal. The space between the two eyes is opened, revealing the lotus of spiritual unfoldment and the rising sun of awareness. And through the rising of the inner sun, meditation is born. This card reminds us not to look outside for what is real, but to look within. When we focus on externals, we too often get caught up in judgments, don't we? This is good, this is bad, I want this, I don't want that. And these judgments keep us trapped in our illusions, our sleepiness, our old habits and patterns. So drop your opinionated mind and move inside. There you can relax into your own deepest truth, where the difference between dreams and reality is already known. So I kind of knew, didn't I? I was kind of on the right track explaining this, but just not as eloquently as in the book. So yeah, that's a beautiful card, isn't it? About really having that relationship with yourself and the divine. And the last card I've got here is just just one from this little pocket, Wild Unknown. And really, I just chose this because I just think it's beautiful. I love this. There we are. Let me show you that. I just love this card. I think, to me, this is just freedom. And I think when you can, if you can genuinely get to this point in the Fool's journey, I mean, of course, we all can get to the world and then go back to the Fool again. We're all in process. We go back and forth along that path all the time. But I think reaching this card of Judgment does mean that we have reached some place of transformation and renewal and change. And I think that that has to be a positive thing, and that there has to be this freedom in this. And I just think these birds all taking off here under this dove, I just think there's such a relief and a freedom in that image. Let's see if the book says anything differently to what I've just said. It says the word judgment conjures up fear and guilt in many people, and this card, however, concerns itself with another aspect of this word, seeking the truth. No more blaming yourself, no more excuses. Now is the time for forgiveness and personal freedom. This card asks you to rise up and let pettiness and fear fall below you. Expand your wings and be reborn. What a relief it will be. And I really, really feel that from this card. It is like rising above all of those sort of petty day-to-day insecurities and worries and judgments. And, you know, hey, I'm an INFJ in Myers-Briggs. You know, I have a J at the end of my personality type, and I understand truly how that operates, you know, within myself, that judgment and that being judgmental sometimes, that my mind is always kind of scanning and wanting to put things in boxes because it's safer, isn't it? It always feels much safer to have people and things in little boxes where you know what they are, you understand them, it feels safe. But actually, to get to this place of this card number 20, is a release of those things, isn't it? It is a forgiveness of ourselves, a forgiveness of other people, being non-judgmental, being accepting, letting things go, moving on, trusting in the process of life. There's a real freedom and release in that. So I love this card, actually. I really do. It's very simple, but a very powerful little message. So what have we got here? So we had the Judgment of, oh no, we had this one first, didn't we? We had this beautiful angel from the art Occultist. We've got the bomb from the Zombie Tarot, the Night King, the Book of Shadows cards, the beautiful butterfly from the Osho Zen, and then the lovely birds from the Wild Unknown. So there we go. I do hope that you enjoyed listening, and I hope that some of my thoughts and feelings around these cards might have resonated for you, and I hope that I was able to do this card justice, really, in the things that I'm saying, because it is such a powerful card. I love it. But anyway, I shall see you again for the World card if you're following this series. If you are, do say hello. I'd love to hear from you. And I hope everybody's well. Sending you all my love.